Rookie draft season is here, so we're going to give you some rookies that so far, 5, 6, 7 days into our rookie drafts, we are avoiding these rookies at all costs. And look, that doesn't mean that you have to avoid them. You should never draft them. These are guys personally that when we're seeing where they're going in these rookie drafts, we just personally don't like them. So these are going to be some guys that we, in our opinion, we're not super high on, but let us know what you think. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out when you do those two things, and we appreciate you so much. Kicking off the video today, oh man, Nathan's adding to our notes right now.
It needs to be addressed. It does, because we address this from a startup perspective with JSN in the other video. So I think we need to at least touch on this just a little bit.
All right, go for it.
So Anthony Richardson is a guy that we think is unquestioned 102 in rookie drafts.
Yes,
okay,
and
so
the best NFL quarterback of all time.
That's pushing it. We're really hopeful, but look, with this guy, he again, we don't need to tell you any more about what he is as a prospect. You saw it at the combine. You saw where he went in the NFL draft, top 5 draft capital, best thing we could ever hope for, best landing spot, all that. So unquestioned S tier, 102 in rookie drafts for sure. Ooh. The thing that we've been discovering now is through mock drafts and through real money startups, we're starting to see Anthony Richardson consistently go at the 1-2 turn. And that's a little bit rich for us. I mean, that's like 1 or 2 picks almost back to back with Bijan Robinson, who has top 8 draft capital and is really the most surefire running back that we've seen since Saquon Barkley. And with Anthony Richardson, he has plenty of question marks coming in with him. And I understand the success of Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields in recent years in fantasy and dynasty. But with Anthony Richardson, man, like you are already almost drafting him at his ceiling and passing up on proven veterans that are still young with guaranteed contracts long-term in Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray. And we're not saying you're completely wrong for doing this. We're just kind of questioning the intent behind it and how much value are you really losing when you go with this pick?
How wise is it to take a quarterback that hasn't played a game in the NFL, that has a ton of red flags, over already proven elite quarterbacks with crazy contracts?
Yeah, look,
it's not wise. What we're saying, in short, is if his price is the 1-2 turn in startups, don't take him there.
Be smarter with your first and second round startup picks. Take the proven value. Take the guys that you know that are going to maintain their value for the foreseeable future. And with Anthony Richardson, guys, this might not even be the best time to buy him, because I'm almost going to guarantee you that at least for a portion of this season, he's going to suck. He's going to look probably really, really bad, and his value is going to fall significantly. And that's when you should be running to buy him. Yeah. Don't go into the season already losing your first or second round startup value. Yeah.
And again, the second half of the season, when he, breaks all the records and wins MVP, you'll be really happy you went and bought him low. So look, again, what we're saying is don't buy Anthony Richardson at the 1-2 turn. He gets to the 3rd though. Yeah, we're taking him there. Yeah. So we're not avoiding him at all costs. Again, he's the rookie 102. So if you're in a rookie draft, you got the 102.
If you're getting him through a rookie draft, take him there. But if it's through a startup, be a little more hesitant.
All right, we're going to talk about Jonathan Mingo now. Oh, Jonathan Mingo, Steve Smith picked him.
Coach Steve Smith.
So what? Like, honestly. That's a lot of people's best argument for Jonathan Mingo. This is a personal preference thing. These are guys that we personally don't like. So, yes, Jonathan Mingo got very good draft capital. Jonathan Mingo is not in a super good situation, playing with a rookie quarterback on a pretty terrible team, and he's a guy that really had a great combine performance, and in your opinion, and also in mine, that this is a combine selection right here, and he's been elevated because of his combine performance.
Yeah, absolutely. This is totally a combine pick. Look, his measurables were fine. His measurables were good, and honestly, as for being a guy that's known as a speedster and a field stretcher, he wasn't even that insanely fast at the combine. He's kind of a bigger guy, like a little bulky, and he's coming from Ole Miss. So there's plenty of history there, recent history with, the likes of, help me here, Elijah Moore, AJ Brown, and DK came out of Ole Miss, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, Jonathan Mingo is going to be the next, dominant field stretcher and DK Metcalf. I don't really know how people are saying that, but if you are, no. Please don't think that, okay? Because yes, the Panthers gave up a ton of draft capital and they have 1 second round pick basically left for the foreseeable future, and they go and they get Jonathan Mingo. That says something about him for sure, which is why he should be going up draft boards for sure. But come on, Adam Thielen's got a 3-year deal. He's going to be the dominant wide receiver 1 there. I know it's gross. I just don't see it with Mingo at all. When you watch his film, like, I'm not going to pretend to be an NFL GM or a scout here, but I do think we can reserve the right to be a little bit critical of the picks that Frank Reich wants to make, because a lot of them that he made in Indy didn't work out, and he definitely has a type, which is why at the wide receiver position we didn't really have that much to work with until we got Downs this class, because we got Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman, who are really great. Michael Pittman's great, but we did not need an Alec Pierce to complement Michael Pittman, because they're not exactly complementary wide receivers when they're the only wide receivers in that room that can stay healthy. So Jonathan Mingo that's just another attempt to get your next Alec Pierce or Michael Pittman in that offense. And if he's going to be that Alec Pierce, like, he's not going to be a dominant target hog from a fantasy perspective.
His breakout age was,
that's another thing.
He broke out last year, and his breakout season was 860 yards.
It was gross. I mean, it just was.
It's pretty disgusting when you look at it. Like, again, he has the second best RAS, I think, among wide receivers, maybe the first, actually. So he's athletic as crap, and I get that. But, I mean,
it's kind of... It's like an oxymoron, but it's kind of limited athleticism. Like, I don't know. When I watched this film, I thought he was kind of he's kind of a one-trick pony.
It's just a lack of other intangibles.
He makes one guy miss, and he runs in a straight line, and he outruns people. Outside of that, there wasn't really anything special in his route running. He doesn't have especially good hands either. Like, he has a lot to work on. And I guess if they can really refine those skills, then maybe he could be, a force to be reckoned with in that offense. But I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
So, to play devil's advocate, the best argument for Jonathan Mingo is that NFL GMs and front offices do know more than us. And they took him that high. So his draft capital is going to make his value extremely insulated, given that rookie wide receivers' values are already insulated. So he's fairly safe, actually. I mean, when you're talking about like bad picks,
he'll probably
maintain his value.
Yeah.
We just don't believe in him long term. And again, that's just our personal opinion. We're allowed to have that. So,
before you crap on us and tell us we're subpar, we literally just admitted that we could totally be wrong on this, and GMs know more than us. We're just sharing our personal opinion.
Steve Smith argument, please.
That's a bad argument.
Love of all that is holy. Stop with that one. All right. We had to do it. So if Devon Achane is going in the late first, you are avoiding him there at all costs. That is a hard pass. Well, there are multiple reasons why. Let's start with the big one. The hit rate for running backs his size is astronomically low. I think everybody knew this. I definitely knew it was a possibility he got this draft capital. I was not really surprised when he went in the third. I had just a gut feeling that he would. I was like, oh, he's going to go here. But what really, really sent people off the rails was the fact that he went to Miami, and now he's playing with Mike McDaniel, who's an offensive guru, and he's going to be in such a great situation, and they've got offensive playmakers, and blah, blah, blah. And
he's a running back version of Tyreek Hill.
And really, I mean, what you're asking for when you are investing a first-round rookie pick in Devon Achane, you are asking for a sub 190 running back who is probably going to get 10 or less touches a game, who's going to get very little red zone work to produce at a level where you're getting a good return on investment in a first-round rookie pick. At this point, you've seen our rookie rankings, so you know where we have him ranked. We have him early second, mid-second is where we like him. But there are a couple guys. Go check out the rookie rankings video. There are 3 or 4 guys we're definitely taking over Achane in this late first, the 110, 111, 112 range. And again, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Achane at that size would really need to be extremely good at receiving. And I'll say this again, but like if Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't, and you look at Jahmyr Gibbs at his size and his between the tackles ability, although you give Devon Achane a slight nod between the tackles, I mean Jahmyr Gibbs wouldn't even be sniffing the top 2 rounds. It's his receiving upside.
Yeah.
When you are that small, you need to be elite in the receiving game to be relevant in fantasy, to be elite in fantasy. Devon Achane, capable, not elite in the receiving game. He's not. And he's not going to be used like that either. He's probably going to replace one of Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert, and he's going to get that limited role, and he's going to be a gadget guy. And I mean,
it'll be really fun to see how the Dolphins it'll be really fun to see how they scheme him up with, the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I mean, what are you going to do when you line up Devon Achane potentially in the slot, and then you've got 3 of the fastest guys in the NFL all running across the field? Like, who are you going to throw it to? Tua will probably, underthrow him every single time. But with Achane, wow. I kind of view him, like you said, a gadget guy. And I guess a comp that I would have at the wide receiver position is someone like, think like Isaiah McKenzie on the Buffalo Bills, right? So Isaiah McKenzie at the wide receiver position was a very effective asset for the offense that they ran for the last few years. And that didn't mean that he was incredibly effective in fantasy. Maybe if you had to plug him into your flex spot once in a while, like, you could maybe have a chance at him producing, but you definitely didn't trust him, and he's not a super valuable dynasty asset whatsoever. He just gets the job done, and he adds another element and another dimension to that offense that isn't really standard. So I think with Achane in an already electric offense, he's just going to add to that confusion and maybe even open up more space and more opportunity for the more dominant guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in the passing game. And I think that's really what we're going to see from him specifically.
And then we've got Tank Bigsby. And Tank, I am a little bit...
We were wrong on Tank. We weren't big fans of Tank. And
I will say, of course, he went to... I mean, there were a lot of people saying that the Doug Peterson committee would suck up Travis Etienne sooner or later, and I got to hand it to him. I think that's what Doug Peterson is going for here. Now, given that, Tank Bigsby has started to go mid-second. And for me, like, looking at, who's going to be the dominant fantasy scorer in that backfield, it's still going to be Etienne. Because, like I said, PPR backs, guys that are going to be elite in the receiving game, get work on the outside, those are going to be the guys that score fantasy points. With Tank Bigsby, he's probably going to be the grinder. I don't expect him to take away a ton of red zone touches from Etienne, although that's certainly possible. Right now, when you look at the hit rate for where his... What was his exact draft pick? I can't remember. We were doing research on this earlier.
It was late third.
325.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the hit rate and Nathan looked into third round running backs.
You want me to read them all back?
Yeah,
read them all back. So
read them all back. This is going to apply to Tyjae Spears too, who is our next guy. Keep this in mind.
2022, which again we don't know for sure how these guys are going to end up, but we had Rashad White, TDP, Brian Robinson. Those were our third round running backs. And 2021, we had Trey Sermon. In 2020, we had Keyshawn Vaughn, Zach Moss, and Darrington Evans. In 2019, we had Darrell Henderson, who had a little bit of a jump there and ended up sucking. David Montgomery, who has had a long-lasting career.
Probably the best one, yeah.
Yeah, Devin Singletary and Damian Harris, and then Alexander Madison. That's honestly one of the best third-round running back classes that we've seen in recent years. So that one wasn't too bad. But again, their ultimate upside, what did it end up being? Backups, complementary guys. David Montgomery, okay. He had one really good season, but outside of that, it's, kind of iffy. 2018, it was Royce Freeman. Third round was a good class as well. Kamara, Hunt, and Deontay Foreman. So those were good ones. And then, again, it's going to be hit or miss.
The hit rate is low.
And a lot of those guys, actually, if you see the ones that really ended up hitting, they had significant, to the A-chain argument, they had significant receiving upside. So Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, Deontay Foreman didn't hit until later, but Hunt and Kamara specifically.
See, but A-chain doesn't have that receiving upside, though. That's why.
Right.
Yeah,
he has speed. So
yeah, but so does Raheem Mostert.
I know.
I don't understand.
He's just a glorified Raheem Mostert.
And with Tank Bigsby,
he's not big.
He's stepping into a Jaguar situation where the offense is going to be promising. There, you're going to have Trevor Lawrence. They obviously took a big step up last year in making the playoffs. again, I still think people are going to be shorting ETN too much and putting Tank in too much of a theoretical role here, when in reality, what Tank's going to do from a fantasy perspective is probably not going to have a good return on investment when you think about the running or the wide receivers that you can draft in that range, and even some of the tight ends. Again, this is one of the deepest tight end classes, and this is where I get to saying, you know what, I might want Sam Laporta here. I might want Michael Mayer. I might, if it's the early third, might want a Luke Musgrave. So, with Tank, it's nothing against him, although we had him ranked lower. Right now, he's going a little bit too high for us. I think people are overestimating how much he's actually going to make a difference there in Jacksonville from a fantasy perspective. And then you're wrapping it up with Tyjae Spears.
Yeah, with Tyjae Spears, I think he has just as good of a long-term outlook from a dynasty perspective and value perspective as Tank does, and he's going significantly later than Tank is, and I think it's just because of the name Tank Bigsby. I know it's a cool name, and I know a lot of people were in love with him after his sophomore season and thought he was going to be amazing and one of the top prospects, and he kind of just faded out and wasn't as good as everyone thought he was going to be, but now you just have a reason to justify why he had relevant draft capital, and you're taking him significantly higher than Tyjae Spears, who is, going into an offense where Derrick Henry is going to probably be phased out here, I would assume, after next year, where the Titans are kind of doing a rebuild, reload, sort of awkward stage right now. Hassan Haskins isn't going to do anything long term. He just doesn't have the skill set or the ability to, in my opinion. I think Spears is going to have a shot to really prove it in that offense. Do they want to commit to him long term? Do they want to stick with him? Is he going to show them more than what they saw in the film? Is it more than what they thought he was worth in the third round? It's enough for him to commit. It's enough for the Titans to commit to him long term with that draft capital. Do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it's likely? Probably not, which is why I'm kind of hesitant here. Yes, the ACL is a concern. Yes, he has some injury concerns. He really tore it up towards the end of the year in college this past season, and I think that's really going to be the silver lining for him. But outside of that, I just think there's better prospects in the future in 2024, even looking as far ahead as 2025, that are just less wear and tear than Tyjae Spears. They do everything that Tyjae Spears does, but better. So if Tennessee has that chance and they'll have the draft capital to do it, I just feel like they're going to want to go with a different guy in the future that does everything Spears does, but better, to replace Derrick Henry, because Tyjae Spears, I think, ultimately just isn't. I don't think he's enough to replace Derrick Henry.
Like, we were really high on him. If you're going to go get a later round running back, get one that has immediate contender value, like Roshan Johnson or like Kendra Miller.
Yeah.
It's same thing with like Dameon Pierce last year. Although he was inflated too high, he at least had some upside for a contender, and that made him an attractive pick for somebody who ultimately will get replaced because of his draft capital and because he's mid. But outside of that, I mean, these guys, again, we are avoiding these rookies. These guys we're not really comfortable drafting. AR we're fine drafting, so he was kind of just a caveat. But, take it with a grain of salt. It's still very early. We're obviously still just projecting based on what we've seen and what do we know. So
our opinion could totally change here too. I mean, there could be some more contender value guys in the future too. I mean, Joe Mixon isn't guaranteed to be starting in Cincinnati going into this season, and that totally boosts Chase Brown's stock. And there are other guys that could fall for sure. So we'll see how it goes.
So let us know what you think in the comments. Who rookies that you guys are avoiding? We'd love to hear those as well, or why you're not avoiding these rookies. But again, like I said, it's just two men's opinions. So make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got content coming out all off season. So make sure you subscribe. Those are two free and easy ways to help us out. Make sure you head over to our locals page as well. It's where all of our exclusive content is. You can find our rankings, ADP data, everything else over there. So make sure you head over there and support the channel. As always, we appreciate you guys watching, listening. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.